What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Kyle here. Excited to be back here with you today and be covering a topic that I know a lot of you guys are asking about and probably hearing a lot about. A lot of information about there. I've kind of waited to post something about it just because I wanted to make sure I've used it a lot and make sure kind of it's part of my workflow. I've been using AI and different things, Jasper and different programs before, but ChatGPT obviously came out in November, and so it was relatively new. And so I've been using it for the last couple months now, and I figured it is time to put a video out there and just share my opinion about it, how it's been helping my business. What I've been sharing with some of my agents on the team as far as like what they can be using it for, because it is a super powerful tool. If you're not already using it, hopefully after this video, you will be using it. It's free right now. So, I mean, there's really no reason not to go out there and to try it. With a couple caveats, like I'll talk kind of about it and just, how, in my opinion, it's viewed from like SEO standpoint and like, just things like that. So that way you don't get in trouble using it and hurt some of the performance if you already have like a website or a YouTube channel or even just your social media content. And so, we're going to talk through some of that stuff. I've got 15 prompts that I pretty much use on a regular basis. And, I'm going to share those with you here today as well. But before I get into all of that, how's everybody doing today? Let me see in the comments who is on the stream. I see we've got a lot of people tuning in already. So that's always great. I know this obviously is a good topic when I can see, I think we got already 31 people tuned in right now, and it seems like more and more joining right away. So who's here? Let me see in the comments. We got Mike Price. Let's see. Jessica. Oh, I don't know which one is you, but who else is here and where are you tuning in from? We've got Lily. She says, hi, what's going on, Lily? How are you doing? Jen, what's up, Jen? Good to see you guys. Good morning. Hope all's well. Yeah, I just got back from Puerto Rico. I was there for about a week and a half with the family and got to go enjoy some time on the beach, get out of the cold Texas weather, which was kind of nice. I know a lot of you are probably just, laughing. You're like, it doesn't get cold in Texas, Kyle. But when it hits like 50 or 60 degrees, that's cold for us. So we gotta go somewhere. So we just got back from Puerto Rico. So I'm excited to be back, but good to see everyone. Tiffany from Oklahoma, good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. We got Scott. Good morning to you as well. Good morning to you as well. Kyle Davis, what's up, Kyle? Good to see you. All right. Tim Power, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. All right. Nora from Corpus Christi. There you go. Love it. The beach. All right. Jim, Green Bay. Getting ready for a big snowstorm. Oh my gosh, I don't envy that. I'm glad we don't get too much snow, if any, down here in San Antonio. Santa Cruz, referrals at 30%. David, there we go. Anybody's got a Santa Cruz referral, send them over to David. We got Lathan. Hi, everyone. What's up, Lathan? Good to see you. All right. And by the way, I'm actually, just so y'all know, so I'm still on StreamYard right now. And I've been messing around, going back and looking, I want to make 2023 be a good year for live streaming. I'm looking to do some cool stuff. I'm actually changing up the program here pretty soon. And going to be doing a lot of cool stuff like giveaways and like live on the stream. And, just trying to be a little more interactive with the audience. So if you like these live streams, definitely, mark your calendars. Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Central Time. I plan to continue to go live. I may even add a night one, something where I do in the evening. If that's something that you might be interested in, let me know. Put it in the comments so I can kind of see how many people actually like live streams in the evening and that can attend them. But yeah, all right, we've got now over 45 people, so definitely want to kick things off here pretty soon. We got, real quick, Karen's good morning. We got Robert. What's up, Robert? Good to see you, brother. Steve, what's up from New York City? Cheryl Raymer, what's up, Cheryl? Good to see you. Tallahassee in the house. There we go. All right. Good stuff, guys. Well, yeah. And by the way, if you have not liked this video yet, hit that thumbs up button. It definitely helps out. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe. I put out new content every single week for real estate agents. to help you grow your business. And again, just if you don't know me, if this is the first time you're seeing my video, I'm here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm an agent, team leader, been in the business for over 15 years, had my own brokerage for a while, moved over about 5-6 years ago now, I guess, to EXP. Been there for the last half decade now, and just been growing my business here. But love just providing extra value and content to agents all over the country, and I guess technically all over the world now, because I've got some agents in Canada on my team. I get agents that watch my content that are all over the world, Europe and India, and it's crazy to see Australia. So, but yeah, so if you're tuning in, definitely consider subscribing. But let's go ahead and just dive right into the ChatGPT discussion. So again, guys, I've been watching other content creators' videos about ChatGPT, and and some of them are good, but I think a lot of it is very basic as far as like how I've been using ChatGPT. I'm trying to, get a little bit more out of the program. And so you'll see some of the prompts that I use are definitely going to be more detail oriented. I think ChatGPT is a great tool, but it's still, not perfect. And it's still, very kind of raw if you are just kind of feeding it like little one-liners. I don't think that that's the best use of ChatGPT right now. You still need to feed it a good amount of information. And so for those that don't know what ChatGPT is at all, it is like an AI language kind of generation tool where you can ask it to do something for you, give it a prompt, and it'll spit out, whatever it is that you ask it to do. So whether that's an article or a list of keywords or a title or whatever, right? It can do a lot of stuff. But again, it's still, relatively new. ChatGPT, it just came out in November. It's not brand new as far as the technology that powers it. They've been working on this, GPT technology for years and years now. But like this is kind of the first iteration where I'd say it's like actually pretty usable, pretty good. I've been using Jasper prior to ChatGPT for about a year for basic things. Obviously I run my blog at kylehandy.com. It helps me to create outlines. It helps me to generate just ideas. And I think, and ChatGPT does the kind of the same thing, but it just does it more precisely now. And so it's really a time saver. It helps you to create more content more efficiently. And honestly, I mean, once given the right prompt, it will give you like better things, at least than what I can create. Like I'm not a natural writer. And so for me, I'm more of a math person, right? So like writing was never my strong suit. I can do it. And, but a lot of times when I feed ChatGPT kind of what I want, it'll do it better than I could even do it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. But again, like a lot of the videos I'm seeing about ChatGPT, even for real estate agents or even whatever, it's very generic. Like, they're good ideas of what to tell it to do, but then to like go more advanced and to get more detailed, I think that's where a lot of the ChatGPT videos I've watched have kind of fallen off. And so I'm going to go ahead and just share the ones that I'm using. And I'll actually, some of these, I guess I'll probably show you live on the spot, kind of like the response that ChatGPT generates for you. Just so you can kind of like see it in practice. So, all right, first things first, the first thing I like to do is, especially if you're just starting out your content kind of business, you want to start creating, whether it's blogs, YouTube videos, or even just social media content, coming up with a list of topics and kind of like a niche for your audience. And so here's a cool little prompt that you can use just to give you a lot of ideas when you're just getting started. So like here, I run a website about real estate in San Antonio. What are some sub niches I should be tackling with my content? Give me the results as a table with the sub niche, a number between 1 and 100 to indicate the sub niche popularity. So when you do this, and this is what's so cool, I mean, literally like what you tell ChatGPT to do, it will do. So like if I paste this in here, a lot of times people just say like, what are some sub niches or what are some topics or whatever, right? Like that's kind of the basics. But if you say, hey, put it in a table and rank it by popularity, and you kind of go a little more advanced, it's going to give you a much better response. And so here you go. You can kind of see right now it's actually spitting out different sub niches and giving me kind of their popularity scores as a percentage out of 100. So now I can kind of start to see where should I spend and focus the majority of my time. So, luxury real estate, first time home buyers, military relocation. That is a big one here in San Antonio. Historic homes, investment properties, vacation, second homes, gated communities. So all of these are great sub niches that I can focus on and start creating content around. And so when I have that now, what's so cool about that is I can then take these sub niches and go even further with it, right? So here's just kind of a table, right? And let's go ahead and use one of the examples of like luxury real estate. Cheryl's asking, can we get a written list of prompts? Yes, Cheryl, I will actually. So for those that don't know, just like my workflow is I actually start by doing my live stream. That's kind of the first thing that I do to get like my ideas out there. And then I actually recreate a blog post based on the video that I made here. And so Cheryl, once I've made that blog post, it will have these prompts in there for you. And of course, you'll probably get an email. I'm sure you'll see it once I have that blog post written. So that's where you can get that list of prompts. But yeah, so here you go. You got this list right here of different sub niches, and you can, even ask it more. Like if you're like, hey, write me 10 more of these, give me 10 more examples, like whatever you need, it will do for you. Right. And so, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. The next one here. So this is, just giving you that table. The next one that I talk about is, having it do all the work for you. Right. So now you can say like, take the sub niche, and I already kind of put an example here, historic homes in San Antonio, because that was one of the ones that prompted me, and brainstorm a list of articles based on popular search terms and long tail variations that are likely to be easy to rank on Google. Present the results in a table with proposed article title, another for target keyword, and a third for popularity level of the keyword between 1 and 100. Oops. There you go. So like I'll copy this. I'll go back to this prompt here. I'll paste that whole thing in here, right? And now it says, sure, here's a table with 10 potential articles written, related to historic homes in San Antonio. And then there we go. Now I've got another table that it's drawing out for me. So real quick, while it's making this table, who here has seen it, ChatGPT and used it in this way where it's like making titles for, or, making tables for you, organizing it for you, or are you just kind of like mainly putting in like little like one-liners currently? It's okay if you're putting in the one-liners. Trust me, I did that for a while, but then when you start to see like, hey, if I tell it to be more specific, like it's actually going to get more helpful. How are you using ChatGPT right now? Let's see. Living in Newton, Massachusetts. What was the actual prompt you input? Yeah, so that was, if you see here, I've put in 2 now so far. The first one was, I run a website about real estate in San Antonio. It's this one up here. What are some sub niches I should be tackling with my content? Give me the results as a table with the sub niche, a number between 1 and 100 to indicate the sub niche popularity. That was the first one. Then it gave me these sub niches. Then I said, take this specific sub niche, and in this case, I used historic homes in San Antonio, which is this one right here, and brainstorm a list of articles. So now here we go. Here are some different article titles. They've given me the titles already. They've given me the target keyword, right? And then the popularity score of that keyword, right? So now I've got that's like one content cluster that I might do on either my website or my YouTube channel, or if you're doing social media content, that's just great. You could just say, have a certain day maybe that you promote historic homes, right? Like maybe it's every Monday you're going to do something about historic homes on your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever, right? And you can just start tackling this list of different topics, right? And so, but this gives you that sub niche, and then it takes that sub niche and gives you all sorts of different ideas to expand on it. All right, so let's see here. Cheryl's using it for all sorts of stuff. It looks like listing ads, bio, resume. Yep. Let's see here. Jen says, I was doing one-liners, definitely going to get more specific. Yeah, for sure. Everyone is using for kind of like one-liners. And, and I'll be honest, I mean, if you're doing it like that, you're going to get a lot of duplicate content along with, every other real estate agent out there that's using it like that. So if you can feed it information, I'm going to show here in some of these next prompts how you can actually specifically feed it information and then ask for a prompt from it. That's going to give you much better results for sure. Yeah, Karen says just been using one-liners. Yeah, that's again, that's a lot of people are using it. It's a lot of agents are teaching it. Like you look at other YouTubers and videos out there. It's like, they just have like one-liners, and it's like, anybody could think of that, and everybody is, and so you're gonna get the same stuff that everybody else does. All right. Let's see here. So then the next one that I've got is become the expert fast. So this is for more like if you're like a new real estate agent, or maybe you're just like, getting into a different specialty within real estate, or you're like trying to specialize in something, getting to know the technical terms related to that specific niche or that specific industry that you're in. So like if it was commercial, if it's investment real estate, if it's just regular general real estate, whatever it might be, get some technical terms, because these are actually going to help you here later on. I'll kind of show you what I mean. So for instance, here I'm going to use this one. Give me technical terms just related to we'll just say investment real estate. All right, so I'm going to put investment real estate. Okay, so now this is just, again, this one's kind of a basic one-liner one, but you're going to use these prompts to kind of give you more information here later on. So right now, we just want the technical terms. And a lot of times what I'll do here is I'll even just, say stop generating. I might even say, give me a list, right? So I just want a list. I don't want it to like explain everything. So give me a list of technical terms related to investment real estate. We'll see if that does anything different. Now it's still explaining it all the way out. Anyways, we'll let that kind of go for a little bit. But the reason why you want to do that is because now you can take these different terms and then you can start to like, maybe it's a specific, like if you're educating your clients, right? If you have a lot of investment clients or a lot of clients who want to become investors, you could do a segment where like, once a week you explain a certain term about that particular, kind of not common, a little bit more of a technological, or not tech, that's the wrong word I'm thinking of. What is it? Anyway, like a hard term that somebody might not know right away. And so like, here you go, you got, cap rate, net operating income, cash on cash return, gross rent multiplier. So all these different terms, right? And you might spend every Thursday kind of explaining it, but now you got a list of terms that you could go out there and start explaining to people. And you don't have to be an expert. It's not like you had to have known all of this stuff, from day one. Literally, you just asked ChatGPT for a list of the terms that are kind of technical in nature. And now you can go out and start like learning more about these terms specifically. Like I probably wouldn't use, just this. I would then go say like, this is kind of further on in the, in one of my other prompts, but I would say like, let's take this capitalization rate, cap rate, and I would say something like explain, cap rate to me as if I'm 8 years old or something, right? And give me an analogy to go along with it, right? So now it's going to give you an easy way to understand it, and then also just like a way to kind of give an analogy for it, right? Because a lot of times people can remember analogies. So I've literally even used this with like my kids, right? Like can't even remember what it was the other day, but I literally pulled ChatGPT up on my phone and I was trying to explain something to them, and I was like, I couldn't think of a way to like make it relate. But then I was like, hey, explain this to an 8-year-old and give me an analogy. And literally, it spit it out, and I was able to like share that with my kids. And that's what it was. It was about time zones. My kids didn't understand because we were in Puerto Rico time zone, and we have different time zone in San Antonio. I was explaining like why there's different time zones, like why the sun sets over here sooner and over here later. And it like gave an analogy about like pizza and all sorts of stuff and slices of the pizza, and that's kind of like the 24 hours in a day. It was really, and I was like, does that make sense? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I would have never thought of that. So anyway, so it's cool that you can do stuff like this, right? And gives you an idea. So Here you go. Let's imagine you have a lemonade stand and that you run every summer. So like, here you go. It gives you an analogy. It explains it to you very simply. So you can take very complex terms, very complex ideas, and make them very simple, which is, if you're trying to help people, that's what your job is. You need to make things simple for people to understand. And the first thing is you need to understand it simply, right? So it's not bad to ask things, to explain them to you like you're younger, you're a kid or something, because, the more you understand it simply, the easier you'll be able to understand it or explain it to somebody later on. So, all right. So there you go. So there's like a good prompt that you can use as far as getting technical terms and then explaining those technical terms. So you then become that trusted expert faster. All right. The next thing I like to do is use it to summarize text. So if you've never done this, this is pretty powerful as well. I don't, have, any more time in the day than anybody else. And so there's certain times where like I get an article that's sent to me, in my email or whatever. And it's like, well, I really want to read that, but I don't have, 15 minutes to read it or whatever. And I just want to know the main points of it. One thing to note about ChatGPT is that currently, I think the data in ChatGPT that feeds it is only up to like 2021. So like if you're asking for things that like would only be known today, it's not going to be effective unless you feed it the prompt ahead of time so that it can, give you a relevant recent answer. So I think that's something very, very important to note if you're not already doing this. But so like with this summarizing text, like what I did, for instance, I took this article here, mortgage rate predictions for 2023. This one's actually not super long. So, I mean, you probably could have just read this, but I'll just use this one as an example. I'll come in here, literally just copy it. Let's see here. I think that's the top of it here. Copy that, come over here to ChatGPT. I will paste this in there and hit enter. There we go. The whole article gets put in there. And then right away, I don't even have to ask it to do anything. I just copy and pasted that entire article, and it already starts to summarize it for you. This article talks about something called mortgage rates. When people buy a house, they usually have to borrow money from a bank. That's called a mortgage. Mortgage rates are the interest rates that people have to pay the bank to borrow the money. Right now, mortgage rates are going up and down a lot because of something called inflation. Inflation is when prices for things go up a lot over time. So anyways, it's starting to summarize this article. And then what you can do with this article, and I don't know, let me see here if this is actually one of the prompts that I put in here. No. So yeah. So then what I'll do, so actually I put it right here. So once that article's there, it's summarized it, but then I can ask it a question as well based on the article. So for instance, according to this article, how does inflation affect mortgage rates? Right. So like now that it's already kind of, you've thrown that article in here. So this is recent information. I could then now ask and say, according to this article, how does inflation affect mortgage rates, right? And honestly, like that question, you could probably ask ChatGPT because that's not like a super recent answer. I mean, like you could have gotten that answer in 2021 or 2020. But if I wanted like that specific person's opinion about it, and I didn't want to read that whole article, but I knew that that article talks about inflation and mortgage rates, I could just say that, right? So according to this article, how does inflation affect mortgage rates? Well, according to the article, inflation can indirectly push long-term mortgage rates higher. When inflation happens, it can make things more expensive, including the cost of borrowing money, blah, 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 right? Like, so you start to see how this works. But if you're trying to ask for any kind of information that's going to be like recent data within the last couple years, you need to feed it the data first and then reference that data in order to get an answer that's recent, if that makes sense. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna look at the comments real quick. So who's getting some value out of this so far? Let me see. Quick, like we got 58 people on the stream. I think that's the most we've ever had. So this is obviously a pretty relevant topic, I would say, for people. So hopefully there's some value you guys are getting from it. But yeah, we got let's see. Oh, there we go. Jen Frost, I'm there. Thanks again for bringing so much value. You bet, Jen. That's Jamie and I are coming in hot from Dallas. Oh, that must be Jamie and Lauren and Tara. Let's see. It'd be helpful to break into the luxury market, learning about high-end appliances. There you go. Yeah, see, like that's a great use of it, right? Like you could definitely look into like, hey, what are some of the top high end appliances? Start like breaking it down using Chat GPT. I love that. Like when you start to like think of all the different like sub niches and ways that you can specialize and become an expert really quick, I think it's awesome. Now, obviously, too, I have to say this because I'm sure a lot of people have already experienced this or heard about it, but ChatGPT is not perfect, and that is the other thing you have to know, that when you're using this program, that you need to like trust but verify it, right? Like, so it's for the most part pretty good, pretty accurate, but there will be times where like it might spit out something that like it sounds great and it sounds like it's a fact, just because it's not like they're questioning it. Like it's not like, oh well, maybe it's this. They Chat GPT, the way it comes out, it looks like it's just a fact, but it could be wrong, right? So if there's anything that you definitely are referencing or saying as like it's a true fact, you might want to kind of validate that and make sure. If it's like informational in nature, like if it's just like definitions and things like that, for the most part, I've not had Chat GPT mess up anything like that. But it usually, like if it's numbers, dates, anything like that, like very factual things, you might just do a quick little Google search and still just kind of like verify that is the way that it is. And yeah, so all right, so yeah, somebody says November 2021. So I guess yeah, that's the date that ChatGPT goes up to currently. Let's see, what else do we have? Super helpful to drill down like this. Awesome, glad to hear it. Love how this applies to lead gen as well. Absolutely, 100%. This is lead gen for sure. Content is the name of the game right now for lead generation. And if this helps you with your content, that's going to help you with your lead generation for sure. Me. All right. Elaine, what's up, man? Good to see you. Glad you're on the stream. Welcome, welcome. All right. So here we go. So yeah, and there we go. You can see, according to this article, inflation can indirectly push long-term mortgage rates higher. Boom, boom, boom. You got all that information there, and I mean, you can do whatever you want with this. This might just be like, sometimes I'm just using ChatGPT, like I say, for my own knowledge, like my own information at this point. It's almost like a whole nother search engine, a whole nother Google that I can kind of reference, or like I say, summarize things. Or I could actually then take this and do other things with it, right? Like make a piece of content from this or whatever, make a social media video, a TikTok or a YouTube short or an Instagram reel. You could do all that with this once you have that information. So summarizing stuff, I think, is very, very helpful. Let's see, what's the next one we've got? Answering your audience's questions. So like this is a good one for just, again, creating ideas, getting ideas for new content, but then just being helpful to people, right? So what are some questions a first-time home buyer might have? So if I throw that into ChatGPT, and just kind of like look at what comes of it, well, now I've got a lot of different pieces of content that I can make from this one prompt, right? So how much house can I afford? What's the process for getting a mortgage and how do I get approved? What are the upfront costs of buying a house, such as closing costs and down payment? What kind of home should I buy and what features should I be looking for? How do I find a real estate agent to help me with my search? How do I make an offer on a house and negotiate with the seller, right? So all of these questions are questions that are relevant to your audience, right? And so you can just ask it this, because I'll be honest, like for me, once I get started, like once I get going, I can do it, but I get writer's block or whatever, just like anybody else. And so sometimes it's nice to have something that just prompts me. What I will say that, and this needs to be said about ChatGPT too, is that I don't use it to like write my stuff for me. I think that's a terrible use of ChatGPT. I don't think it's quite there yet. Maybe someday it will be, but like if you're just like saying like, write a blog post for this topic for me, or write a XYZ, a social media for this thing or whatever for me, I've not gotten responses that I feel like sound natural, that sound good. And so realistically, what you're going to want to do is feed it information. And so I'm going to show you here in a little bit exactly what that looks like for me, like how I feed it information to get it to where it gives me good stuff and it sounds like me, right? Because I think that's the most important thing, is that you still have your voice. You want this to sound like you, even though you're using AI to kind of like give you ideas and to kind of help you with what you're doing. All right, so but there you go. There's a bunch of questions that, this is first time home buyers, but you could do this for luxury real estate, clients. You could do this for any kind of sub niche that you might be getting into, right? Like, what are the common questions that people ask, right? Knowing the common questions. I think that's an important one. So there's a prompt there answering your audience's questions. And by the way, guys, if you've got some prompts that you like that you're using and you're having some success with it, throw it in the chat. I'd love to kind of see how you guys are using ChatGPT in your business. All right, so now here's where we're going to get into kind of like creating content. So search entities, real quick, just for those that aren't in maybe the blogging space right now already, because I do define it here in this prompt, is search entities are kind of like, just keywords, right? Like things that people are actually specifically searching for. So if you see that brought up, like here, it says, what search entities and subtopics should I mention if I want to write a beginner's guide to buying a home? So now this is where you're going to start to like, go deeper on a particular topic. Like in this case, it's buying a home. You could do it for selling a home. You could do it for investing in real estate. You could do it for buying your first commercial property. You could do it for, whatever it might be. There's tons of different ideas. But I'm just going to do it kind of on a generic scale for, buying a home. Give me the results in a table with the concept, a short description, and a score between 1 and 100 to indicate its popularity. So let me copy this. I'm going to paste this over into ChatGPT, and it's going to tell me, here are some search entities and subtopics that could be included in a beginner's guide to buying a home. And there we go. It starts to write out a table for me. And you're going to see this is going to be really cool, guys. Like literally, if you wanted to write a book on buying a home, this is what you could use, right? Like this will give you your, not quite an outline just yet. We're going to outline it here next. But it's going to give you like the chapters per se of like what your book or what your content should be about. And you can shrink this down as small as you want, or you could make this as big as like say a book or something. So if you just wanted this to be an ebook, if you just want this to be like a piece of content and you want to kind of break each one of these down again, you can use it like that. But here you go. So here's search entities and subtopics that could be included in a beginner's guide to buying a home. So the concept, there's different ones. Home buying process. People are curious about that. Mortgage basics, budgeting for a home, house hunting tips, home inspection checklist, negotiating with the seller, the closing process, home ownership costs, credit score, and financing. So like these are all the different concepts. And you can see the popularity score. So this isn't necessarily like the order that you would put these in if you were doing some kind of a piece of content, a blog post, a book, or whatever. These are ranked by popularity score, which tells you like how interested people are searching Google for these different things. And then it gives you even a description of all this. So like the home buying process, here's an overview of the steps involved in buying a home, including finding a real estate agent, getting pre-approved for a mortgage, making an offer, inspections, appraisals, and closing. The mortgage basics, understanding the different types of mortgages available, how to get pre-approved, and what factors affect mortgage rates. So now here's where we're going to take this, just what we did here, this little table, and we're going to make this thing like massive, right? It's going to be so much even more powerful than already what it is right here. So the next prompt is where we're going to actually get it to outline that for you, right? So you have kind of the concepts now. So now we want to develop our outline. So here you go. Now write a very detailed outline with H2, H3, and H4 markups, which is your headings, and bullet points explaining the precise points for, in this case, I took one of, I took that topic, Beginner's Guide to Buying a Home. Make sure to include specific information only a seasoned real estate agent would know, and include all of the entities from above. Okay, so let me copy this, and then we'll go back to ChatGPT, paste that in, get rid of these, press enter. So now it's going to take, so ChatGPT, the nice thing is like you've got different chats over here on the left-hand side, and you can, like all of this that I'm doing right now as this example is in the same chat, right? So you can reference things above in that same chat, right? Like it'll remember the things that it's already talked about to you in that specific chat. So, so it's not like each prompt has to be like have everything in that one prompt. Like it will reference things that you've chatted with it above, right? So here you go. Now you can see here's an outline for your beginner's guide to buying a home. Now it's starting to list out those different entities: your introduction, your home buying process, your mortgage basics, budgeting for a home, right? And then you can see the bullet points are already there. It's kind of got your H2s would be like the bold text there, like your mortgage basics, your budgeting for a home, your house hunting tips. Your H3s, which is kind of like your subheading, your subheadings, and is like your explain. Here, I'll go down to house hunting tips. An H3 there would be, providing tips for finding the right home, discussing strategies for making an offer on a home. And then your H4s are kind of like the sub bullets below that. And that's where usually I don't use H4s. Like I'm usually just using H2s and H3s. And then my H4s is just text, right? So like that's where I'm starting to write my paragraph. And but yeah, it gives you everything that you already need in that point. And so now here you go. You've got your entire outline for, like, this is so long that this would be like an ebook or something, right? Like maybe you're going to create a book to give out as a lead magnet to people who visit your social media, that visit your website, that visit your YouTube, whatever it might be. Like, let's say you want to build out an ebook for it or a guide. Well, there you go. Now you got the whole outline for your guide. And so, but here's where, like, again, I'm just going to make the statement. Don't just say like, okay, write me a paragraph about the home buying process. Like that's what a lot of people are doing. And I think that you're going to get very generic. I mean, ChatGPT, it is original content. It's not like it's, plagiarized. But if you have to imagine, if two people put the same thing in the prompt, give me a paragraph about home buying process, and that's all they give it, the answers, they might be a little bit different, but they're all going to be about the same, right? And so Google actually just recently came out and said, because at first I was a little nervous of even using like AI and ChatGPT and even Jasper in the past, because I was worried about what it would do to my blog if I'm using it, because you can detect it. There's tools already that, like, if you're just putting in single line things like that, it will detect AI content, so that it knows, like if you go to originality.ai, if you put in any kind of content, it'll tell you, how much of it's original versus how much of it's AI. And if you're using very basic things like that, it's going to say that it's AI all day long. And I was like worried that if, Google's seeing that your blog is all AI, that it's going to not be favorable to you. Whereas actually just here in I think it was the last week, Google said that they are not, it's, AI in general, they're not going to penalize a site for using AI, which that was something people did fear, that like even if it was good content, that it would be penalized because it was AI. They come out and say that that's not going to be the case. However, they are still going to use their current standards for how they've ranked content in the past, which is, how helpful it is, but also how original it is. Like if you have duplicate content, if it's not unique, if it's, not adding any extra value, then, then it's not going to rank to the top. It's not going to rise to the top. So you still have to have original content. And that's how they're going to kind of sift through all the people that are using AI now, is, whose is going to be original still, right? So that's the other thing you have to be thinking about in this. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how I still come up with original content, but just using these as prompts, because I mean, already this alone saves so much time. Because before this, if I had to like sit there and like think about this stuff, I'd be visiting other websites and like trying to like piece together like what's like a logical, outline for like an article or for a guide or whatever. Now it's all here. And I may not use every single thing in here, and I may not, and I might change it, I might add something, right? But like this gets me 80% of the way there, which that's a lot. That saves me a lot of time. And so that alone is a huge help for your content generation. But so now here, what we're going to do next, I'm going to go over and show you the next prompt, is starting to where you can write a draft, right? So here's where Here's where, again, you're going to want to be very specific about what you want out of it, right? Versus like, oh, just write me an outline, or write me a draft of this article, or write me a paragraph. Like, here's what you can see, how I would do something. I would say, write a section on the cost to buy a home for first-time home buyers that reads and feels similar to the sample passage, and use the facts provided to make arguments. Make sure to break up long sections with bullet points, short sentences, and pattern breakers, right? And that's just basically like something that I use in my writing, just to like make things look good. Like, so it's not just blocks of text going all the way down the page, right? So what I would do here, because you need to feed it facts, right? You notice that I put there facts and a sample passage, right? So now I'll take something that I've written in the past, I'll copy that, I'll throw it into ChatGPT, and I'll reference it and say, like, use this sample passage to make what I want. So this one might take a second for me to show you what I'm looking for. But like, for instance, I actually did pull up just like some facts. I went on Google and I just said, home buying facts, right? So here are, some facts. And again, you'll want to eventually, like, once you create your article for it, you'll want to source where you got these facts from. But again, I don't know, because ChatGPT may not have gotten these facts, because this might be a newer article than 2021. But I would copy these as facts, right? And I'm going to come to ChatGPT. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, my prompt, and paste that in here. And I'm not going to hit enter yet. Actually, if you hit shift enter, it'll just give you a new line, right? So if I put here facts and then shift enter, and then I come over here and grab these facts, I paste them in here. So Control V. All right, so I paste it in there. And then I'm going to say shift enter. And then I'm going to say sample passage. Right. And then here's where I'm going to take like a little bit of my writing. So if I come over to kylehandy.com, go to my blog, say here, Red X for real estate agents. I'll just use this, right? So I'll grab sample passage here. It doesn't even have to be about the text that you're writing, right? Because like, you're asking it to write about cost to buy a home. You're just using this as a sample passage, right? So paste that there. And so that way it gets your writing style. And then there we go. Now I'll hit enter. And we're going to see what this comes up with. All right, so cost to buy a home for first-time home buyers. Purchasing a home can be one of the most significant financial decisions you'll ever make. As a first-time home buyer, you will need to understand the various costs associated with buying a home. Here's what you need to know. There we go. And now you can start to see it's actually pulling facts and figures out of the facts that we fed it up above, right? And then just the way this is writing is going to write differently than if you just asked to, a generic prompt, right? Down payment, again, same thing. It's using 62% of Americans, which is from above. So now you can see that it's actually taking a lot of this information that you've given it, and it's giving you a better prompt. Okay. And I know it's a little probably challenging to see it on the screen. I know it's kind of small text on there, but you get the idea, right? Like, it's going through all of this. It's giving you, using stats, using the facts that you fed it, and it's writing it in the style that you've asked it to write in, that is your style, right? So that's important. So there you go. Now you have a passage here that you could use in your piece of content. And you might, like, I'll take this, and it's still not going to be perfect. I'll copy it, paste it into Google Docs, and then kind of go through it, read it, might change a couple things here and there. But again, this gets me 80% of the way there. And when you keep getting 80% of the way there on each thing that you're trying to do, and you're not sitting there in front of a blank page, it will cut down the time to make things significantly. And so this can be your blog post. This could be scripts for a YouTube video, all sorts of things that you want it to be for, right? All right. Let's see, where are we at? We got half done. I got about 17. I'm gonna try and knock this out in 17 minutes here. So, all right. So here's the other part. Write a meta description of 155 characters for this article. All right. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this one in there, and make sure too, I always have to put spaces count as characters. Otherwise, for some reason, it ends up being over 155 characters. But like, for those that aren't in the blogging world or whatever, a meta description is something you want to tell Google that is kind of like representative of your article. So like if you just go on Google and you say, first time home buyer, and we see what the different things are, all of this little text right here, that's your meta description, right? So you want to keep that to be 155 characters, but you can use that for anything, right? Like you could say, hey, write me an email that's 500 characters or whatever, right? Be specific though, get the length of text that you need. But there we go. So I'm going to paste this for this article, or and then I say make the user want to click on the article and tease them. All right, so even kind of add in a little extra. Ready to buy your first home? Learn everything you need to know about the home buying process, from financing to finding the right property, in our comprehensive beginner's guide. There you go. Sounds like a great meta description, right? Just something that way I don't have to think about what I want to write. And then I would copy that. I would use that as a meta description. Okay, let's see. Titles. I like, this is the other thing that I do for like YouTube videos. Even this YouTube video, I think I forget, 15. No, actually, I think I just came up with this one. This was super like a unique title. But sometimes if I can't think of a title for a video, I'll use this, right? And I'll ask ChatGPT for like 10 titles, and then I'll pick one out of those 10 that stands out to me that I like, right? So generate 10 unique title tags. Like I don't just say generate a title, right? Because then you only have one title. Well, I don't know if that's good or not, but generate 10 unique title tags of a maximum of 60 characters, because I know like on YouTube, it'll cut off your title tag if it's over 60 characters. So and keep it under 60 characters for the preceding text. They should be descriptive and include the term, like, so if I'm going after a particular search term, in this case, this article was first-time home buyers, so first-time home buyer in them. There we go. So there we go. Let's see what the 10 unique title tags are. There we go. So your ultimate guide to buying a home as a first-time home buyer. Everything first-time home buyers need to know about home ownership. Navigating home ownership, a guide for first-time home buyers. But you can see every single title now has first-time home buyers in it. But then now I've got 10 of them, and I can just pick from one of those, right? Like I don't need all 10 of them, but I'm just going to go with the one that stands out to me the most. Most of the time you can just use it. Sometimes you might need to like alter it a little bit or whatever, but at least now it's like, I'm not sitting there and just trying to think of a title that I can use. So that's another important one. All right, let's see. Provide stats and statistics. So this is another good one. And again, now remember, the caveat here is that the stats aren't going to be super recent if you're just asking it to go find you stats. But this can be good if you're just looking for like stats or something to either give as like a social media post, or maybe like add to an article that you're already writing. So like what I'll do here is I'll say generate a list of the top 10 facts, statistics, and trends related to, right? And we'll just say, let's say luxury real estate, including their source, right? I want to have the source in there, because otherwise I don't know how to verify that fact or stat to know if it's legitimate. What if I say including their source? Well, now it's going to tell me the global luxury real estate market was valued at $6.5 billion in 2020 and is expected to grow at, I don't even know what that is, 6% from 2021 to 2028. I have no clue. I might not use that one. That's why I asked for 10 of them, right? Because maybe I just need one fact to add to an article that I'm doing about luxury real estate or a piece of content or whatever. So I'm going to ask for 10 and like which one stands out to me that I want to use. But then now I also have all of the sources, so I can go verify, like, go check that source. I just literally would, copy paste this. And usually if you copy that and with the source, it's going to pull up right on Google, and you can go in and see, does that source really still have that or say that? But you notice here, all of the years are all ending in 2021, right? So everything's either 2020, 2021, unless it's saying something like it's expected to grow by this year or something like that. But yeah, that's where everything is stopping in 2021. But that's okay. I mean, facts, even if they're, statistics, if they're still a year too old, that's okay for an article that you're making today, right? But anyways, so that's a quick way that you can get some stats for an article or whatever you're trying to do. Let's see, next one. Here we go. I talked about this one already earlier, but like, for instance, explain how mortgage insurance works to an 8-year-old. I don't think I need to go over that one again too much because I did it earlier, but I will paste it in there just so you can kind of see. Hi there. Mortgage insurance is something that can help people who want to buy a home, but you don't have enough money to make a big down payment. When you buy a home, you usually don't have to pay a big amount of money to the bank first, and then it's called down, and that's called a down payment. But if you don't have enough money to pay a big down payment, you can get mortgage insurance. So again, they're explaining it like if this was to my son or my daughter, right? Like I'm explaining to them like this, which sometimes as an agent, as a 30, 40, 50-year-old person, it's okay, like just to try and understand it at first, like an 8-year-old. And then you can kind of at least grasp the concept and learn a little bit more about it, right? And so here you go. Mortgage insurance is like a promise from another company that they will pay the bank some money if you can't make your mortgage monthly mortgage payments. And so blah, 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 it keeps on going. So let's jump to the next one because I do want to see if there's any time for questions here at the end as well. Team names, core values, bios, etc. Right. So here we go. Here's one that you can do if you're kind of stuck. You're like, I want to start building my brand. Like, I don't have a great brand yet. Well, here, ChatGPT can help you build your brand. Give me a list of 20 real estate team names that have the word handy in them. So like this would be if I was trying to create a different team name and I'm just stuck, like I don't know what I want. Well, there you go. I can start here and just like give me a 20 and let me see if something just kind of stands out, right? That I might want to use. Handy Home Experts, the Handy Home Company, Handy Home Partners, right? Like I don't know if any of those work, but if they don't, I say, give me 25 more. There you go. Now here's 25 more, right? Like it's endless. And eventually something is going to jive with what you're wanting to do, right? And so that's how you can use it for like branding purposes. And then like, let's say I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to use the handy, let me find one, the Handy Home Squad. There you go. That's going to be my team name. And so what are some good core values for the Handy Team Home Squad? Handy Home Squad. And now granted, obviously your core values are your core values, but sometimes you're like, man, I don't even know like what's a good core value to even think about that like represents me, right? So it's okay, ask it. And it's going to tell you, I think, because I did this one earlier. Yeah. I can't determine the core values of a specific organization. However, here are some that, good real estate teams could adopt, right? There you go. Integrity, honesty, professionalism, accountability, respect, commitment to excellence, customer satisfaction. So now you're getting all of this list of different ones that you can say, you know what? Yeah, that's me. This one's me. That one's me. And then now you have some core values that represent you, that represent your team, whatever it might be, right? And so now once I've done that, I'll take it a step further. And now I want to create like a bio, right? So in this case, write a bio for the Handy Home Squad. That includes my 15 years of experience helping buyers and sellers in San Antonio. Our unique value is our straightforward, easy, technology-driven approach to customer service. Our core values include honesty, transparency, knowing the local market, and attention to detail. So this is where I start to, you can kind of see, because this is very similar to how I will feed ChatGPT pretty bad content and it will make something much better out of it. But it's it's what I'm asking it to create. It's not just like a generic, like, hey, make it about this. Like I've told it what it needs to put in there. It will just spruce it up and make it sound better, right? So if I hit enter, and so I do this with a lot of things, like while I'm writing a blog post, I'll write the paragraph myself, but I'll just do it like first thing that kind of comes to my mind. It's very rough. Like sometimes like it's not capitalized. It's not like punctuated properly. It's just like ideas and thoughts that are kind of coming to my mind about that particular paragraph or whatever. I'm just writing it. And then I feed it in ChatGPT and I say, clean this paragraph up or rewrite this paragraph. And then I'll copy what I just wrote, paste it in there, and then ChatGPT spits out something really nice. So here you go. Meet the Handy Home Squad, a team of experienced real estate professionals serving the San Antonio area for over 15 years. We believe that buying or selling a home should be easy and straightforward, and our unique approach to customer service reflects that. Using cutting-edge technology and a deep understanding of the local market, we make the process seamless and stress-free for our clients. At the heart of our service are our core values: honesty and transparency, a deep knowledge of the local market, and an unwavering attention to detail. Trust the Handy's Home Squad to guide you through your real estate journey with ease and confidence. That sounds way better than what I just posted above, right? Like, so that's how you can give it something, good information, but have it clean it up and give you something that actually sounds really, really good. All right. Let's jump to the next one, YouTube scripts. So here you go. You've probably seen, people that mention this, and I think that, this can work. You do still have to end up cleaning this up, usually a little bit when it's all done with it, but it can at least get you started. So for instance, like, my blog post right here, Red X for real estate. What I like to do, is if I've already got a blog about it, I will literally just copy the piece of text that I've got, and I'll paste it, and I'll scroll back up to the top. Let's say shift enter, shift enter, shift enter, scroll that down a little bit. And then I'll grab my prompt, which is this one, turn the following article into a YouTube video script, paste that in there. Take this out. It could be around 1,500 words because that will be about a 12-minute video for me. And I will say enter. So all of that above was just my prompt, right? Like what I gave it. Now it's starting to take that information and create me a YouTube script. I didn't just say, create me a YouTube script about Red X for real estate agents, right? Like I took what I wrote because like, that's how you're going to get the best data, the best, response back from ChatGPT. That's going to be original versus just like asking it to do something for you. You're much better off doing this. I promise you, I've tried it, different ways. And, if you just ask it to like, give it a one-liner and say like, do this, it usually is not going to turn out to be very positive for you. And again, the longevity of that is not going to be very good because if a lot of people are doing it, right now it might be a newer thing, but pretty soon ChatGPT is going to be its own thing, right? Like it's just a search engine. So people are gonna start using that and searching stuff. And if ChatGPT can, do it in 2 seconds and you're not adding anything extra, any different prompts or no kind of spin to it, why is somebody gonna, read your article about it, watch your YouTube video about it? So you've got to like do things that kind of make it unique. So that way you're gonna not only stand out right now, but that piece of content is gonna be able to work for you for a while, right? So here you go. I mean, it's still going, right? It's still writing out that YouTube script for me. And the nice thing about a script for YouTube is like, it's not like I'm just reading my blog post. It's actually like going to add in a little bit more of like a transition. Like when you're speaking, it's going to sound different than if you're just trying to read a blog post, right? So there you go. It's kind of going, it even puts the timestamps as far as like where it thinks that you might be in the video if you were reading this script and like that was like going through. And so by the end of it, sometimes this takes a little while. It should be, 10, 12, 15 minutes sometimes, right? If you're doing 1,500 words. All right. Anyways, so let's go to the next one. Social media content calendar. I like this one. This one's kind of a cool one too. So create a social content calendar for real estate content. I want the calendar for March 2023 to be in a tabular format, including the date, post, idea, and caption, right? So now it's going to make it into a table. I'm going to paste enter there. Sure. Here you go. Right. And it's going to start creating a table, the date, the post idea, and it's going to give you your caption. Right. And so now you can see here, it's giving you all sorts and depending on how much you want to post, you can say, hey, add 20 more dates or, whatever you want it to say, like you can kind of take what it's given you and add on to it or whatever. But this gives you a starting point. It looks like here it's creating you one for, every 3 days as far as a post. So the first one is tips for home buyers. The next one's a local real estate market update. The next one's showcasing a recently sold property. The next one is home staging tips for sellers. The next one is highlighting a unique property feature, right? And then it gives you even the caption. And so like you might make a video about this particular post idea. You might make an infographic, something in Canva, whatever it might be. But here you go. I mean, in 2 seconds, you've now got a social media content calendar that you can use to post things up in your social media feeds. So that's a good one there. And then the last one here, guys, is a real estate listing description. So we all have real estate listings, and I don't like writing them just as much as the next person. And so honestly, what I'll, do now is I can say, write a real estate listing, just like how I was saying, like it can take bad content and make it good. Here's an example of that. Write a real estate listing description about 123 Main Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in San Antonio, Texas. I'll tell a few things that are, close to it. It's near a Magnolia Pancake House, excellent schools, a park nearby, and has an updated designer kitchen, sits on 1 acre, and has new flooring throughout. But then the part where it will really separate you from the rest is if there is a particular listing description that you like. Maybe you've read one on Zillow from another agent. Maybe you have one yourself that you use and you like it. And so you can just say, use the following as a prompt, right? It can always do that. So here goes Shift Return, paste that in here, use the following as a prompt. So now here's where it's like, okay, let me jump on Zillow real quick. I just already did this before because I didn't want to take up a ton of time. But like, let's just say I liked this, this person's listing description, right? I just copy that. I can throw it in the ChatGPT. You're not copying their listing description, right? So it's not like you're copying their stuff. You're not plagiarizing anything. You're just using the format of it, like kind of how it's written, to help you, right? So I'm going to throw this in here. I'm going to say paste. There we go. So now that's in there, right? So that's the prompt. That's the information about the listing. And then I say enter. Here you go. Welcome to 123 Main Street, a beautiful craftsman style bungalow located in the heart of San Antonio, Texas. Now it's saying craftsman style because that's what this person now, if you're like reading this because, and yours is not a craftsman style bungalow, well, then just change that to whatever it is, right? Like, if it's a 2-story house, a master down, master up, whatever you want to put in there. But now at least the prompt is going to be very similar in format to how this was, but it's going to take your information. Right. So there you go. Now you've got a listing description that, again, it's probably 80% of the way there. None of this stuff is going to be perfect, or at least it shouldn't be, in my opinion. I don't think you want to just take it from, right away. And, but you can now take these, and maybe yours doesn't have these particular features, but you can swap out with some of the features it does have. So that's what I think is, the power of this is now it's like you've got the outline, you've got it ready, just swap out a couple things and boom, you've saved a bunch of time there. So, all right, guys, that is the top of the hour. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of information. I hope that was super helpful. Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite prompt that I discussed today? And also, just because we don't have any extra time, if you do have questions about ChatGPT or anything related to kind of the AI side of it for content creation, put it in the comments. I'd be happy to respond and give my take on it. So thank you so much. It was good seeing everybody. I'm glad I'm back. Looking forward to this year as far as some new things that I want to do with this live stream. So definitely stay plugged in. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so already. But thank you again, everybody. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.